The FBI or something like that came to the house and said that they had a package intercepted. What is going on, Dank fam? Welcome to another story time. I don't really have a schedule for when I'm going to be doing these stories, guys, but it's been raining off and on over here in Florida, so I try my best to hop on the bike and get some filming for you guys whenever I can. Last story was a topic about being a teenage drug dealer. Kind of talked about the highs and lows of that and what the lifestyle brings. But one thing I didn't really get into detail about because we ran out of time was the house that I lived in right after my dad kicked me out after high school. So if you guys want to see that part 1 of this video, go ahead and click in the description. There's a video link that says watch next, and it's going to be Life of a Teenage Drug Dealer. That's the part 1 of this story. So if you guys want to be caught up, that's where you'll click. Oh, I love this little turn. Hold up a minute. One last thank you to my Patreon family. Basically, it's a separate community other than YouTube, and currently we're building a 2018 ZX6R giveaway bike with all the best parts. We're going to talk about right when I got out of high school. A little bit of backstory. I was into bad things back in high school, doing what I could to make money. Things kind of hit the fan in the last story that I told, so I ended up moving in with my dad to finish up the second half of my senior year. And I was on track to failing high school. Right around the time I moved in with my dad. He basically said, if you move into my house, you need to get a job and need to graduate high school or I'm kicking you out. So long story short, I got me a job at Jimmy John's. One last clarification about these story times. I don't do these story times to get you guys all upset and depressed and make you feel bad for what I've went through. It's just simply telling you guys the experiences that I've had as a younger adult, and hopefully you guys can take something from it, something you can learn from it. Because that's all it's about, guys. It's about the experience that we've had throughout our life with these stories, and that's why I like to talk about it, guys, because it lets me look back on these stories and just kind of think about all the good things that I learned from it. All the bad stuff, I mean, it's inevitable. Bad things are going to happen in life, but making the most out of those experiences and learning from them, becoming a better person is all it's about. So be happy, don't worry. We're just talking about some stories, people. So we'll get back into the story. So I moved in with my dad right in the half of high school, and he said, get a job, get good grades, graduate high school, and you can stay living here. That's exactly what I did. I walked myself to school every single day, only a couple blocks away, thankfully. I ended up graduating high school with a 3.0 grade average. I was super happy about that, guys. Got my diploma. I had a bad relationship with my mom around that time since everything that happened with the first story. We ended up rehashing our relationship out, and me and my mom ended up starting to get along again. Let's do a wheelie. Me and my mom's relationship got better. We started talking a lot more. Everything was going great, and I was still working at my Jimmy John's job. And my dad, for some reason, he was like, hey, I know you just graduated high school and everything, but it's time to get out. So my dad literally kicked me out to the curb, and all I had was just a backpack full of stuff in my Cadillac that I definitely couldn't afford to maintain. But I did what I could, and I didn't have a big YouTube following and all these friends of mine at the time, so I really didn't have nowhere to turn. And I was sleeping on the streets for a couple nights. My best friend from high school at the time had a friend that had his own house, and he was like, yo, you can stay here if you want, get back on your feet, blah, blah, blah. He knew I had a job and everything else, so he knew I was a bum. So I took him up on that offer, and I moved into this house. And it's crazy because this house had the guy that lived there and a couple other people, as well as his girlfriend. Added me in there. It was literally like a 2-bedroom house with like 5 people sleeping in there. And not everybody had a normal job. Some people were slanging and doing their thing, but at the end of the day, it was a really nice household, and I definitely called that place home while I lived there. I'll add in one little funny story. So as I was living there, another guy, same situation as me, had nowhere to go. My friend that owned the house let that guy move in as well, and he was a party guy at the time. He used to go out and party all the time, and I just wasn't a party guy. The kid that had just moved in, he went out and partied, and he gave me a call, and he's like, yo, Mike, I need picked up from this party. I'm a little wasted. Can you come pick me up? I was like, yeah, bro, I got you. So I went and picked him up in the Cadillac, and then I brought him back to the house, and we're just sitting there playing Call of Duty. And he's like, yo, here you go. And he gave me a water bottle with no label on it, and it just had straight vodka in it. And I was like, what's this? And he's like, vodka. And I was like, oh, sweet. So he like gives me the bottle, and he turns his head, and then like literally 5 seconds later, I throw the bottle back at him empty, with my eyes just looking all crazy. I just chugged this whole bottle of vodka. And I was so young at the time, I didn't know the repercussions of just chugging all that liquor all at once. And needless to say, I got super sick and I was a mess. So never do that. That was the worst idea ever. I also had workout buddies at a house later on down the road that put the same exact kind of water bottle in the fridge. And I'm like over here trying to be new year, new me, going to the gym. I bust that water bottle out and take a big gulp, and yeah, it sucked, especially with everybody staring at me. So getting back to the story, so it was me living there, the new guy had just moved in that was all partying all the time, and then the homeowner, a little bit older than me, and his girlfriend. So us four were all staying there, having a great time. Everything was going well. Look at beautiful downtown St. Pete, people. They still got their Christmas tree. What are you doing, St. Pete? It's like January, bro. So I'm working Jimmy John's, making minimum wage. Everybody's doing their thing, making their money, chipping in for rent, all is well. And then one night, things took a turn for the worse. Everything was going great, and then one night, everybody's dead asleep. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. The homeowner's girlfriend comes running into my room, wakes us up. She's freaking out, crying and screaming. And I knew something terrible had just happened.
Yeah, baby, it's time for that DankWheelie halftime show. Oh, sucky now.
What up, Brad Vlogs? Where you at, bro? Vlogs, you heard? So this is where things get a lot crazier. His girlfriend was freaking out crazy, and she just went ahead and told me that the homeowner had killed 2 people tonight. Now, she didn't go into context as far as how he killed 2 people, so I was completely confused as far as what was going on. A guy that I had met and known for a couple months now, doing this kind of stuff, I was completely like, what the f just happened? For whatever reason, St. Petersburg Beach has one long road that runs all the way down it, and this road is like a 35-mile-an-hour road. So what happened was the homeowner borrowed his dad's Suburban, which is a big SUV, and for whatever reason he drank and took that Suburban and just mashed all the way down the beach road doing like 60 to 80 miles an hour. And apparently there was a smaller like Honda Civic car that was pulling out of a hotel on the beach, and he was coming around a bend, didn't see the car, and just straight T-boned this car going like 60 miles an hour while the car was at like a dead stop. And it's really sad because both those people passed away. They were just tourists visiting St. Petersburg for a holiday. It's just not fair, you know, and that's all that really was in the back of my head that whole time. You know, I felt bad that my boy is going to prison for this DUI manslaughter, but the only thing I could really feel for at the time was these poor people, and the fact that this kid didn't have it in him to kill somebody, you know, and he just made a bad mistake drinking that one night, and it cost him their lives and a lot of his life too. I mean, to this day, he's still locked up. One of the wildest parts about the story, though, is that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and when he hit the car, he ejected out of the windshield, and I want to say he flew like 100 feet into the middle of the road, but surprisingly, all he had was like a bump on his head. It's just weird how things work, you know, and then these innocent people just minding their own business, leaving a party, you know, and they get creamed. That's just really sad. So after he got locked up, shit really hit the fan with me and my new friend that partied all the time that were living at that house, because we were guests at this house just pitching in money for rent. The homeowner that just got locked up ended up getting sentenced to 8 years in prison. So me and the kid that partied all the time, which I want to give a lot of props to, because this is right around the time he stepped it up. You know, he was slinging himself, and right when it hit the fan, me and him knew, like, yo, I'm working minimum wage at Jimmy John's, and you don't even have a job. We need to step it up if we're gonna keep living here, dude. Like, we don't have any get out of jail free cards anymore. This is all we got. The first challenge was getting my buddy a job, which mad props to my boy. He ended up getting a job at a mortgage reinvesting place, and ended up killing it, man. Mad props to my boy all the way up till this day. I still keep up with him and stuff, and he's killing it. You know, he parties and stuff like that still, but my man is about his money, and he's just a really great business-minded person. But it was just really cool to see him shape into that as we lived in that house together. Ninja launch. So me and him got a game plan together. First, we need to find out where all these bills are coming from. get them in our name and go ahead and start paying them. And after I did all the math and stuff like that, even if we broke it into halves, thirds, quarters, I could not afford to pay for this house with minimum wage Jimmy John's job. I don't care how freaky fast I am. Going to Fort DeSoto, old throwback. My best friend from high school that ended up introducing me to the original homeowner, he needed a place to stay as well. I said, why don't you move in with me? And I know you're doing your thing, hustling and stuff like that, but we really need some help here at the house paying for the bills. Why don't you move in with us? So he's like, yeah, that's cool, we'll move in. And I'm not gonna lie, people, working a minimum wage job at Jimmy John's and having this Cadillac that I still couldn't afford, money was definitely tight. So I got back into my old ways, and everything was smooth with that. You know, we made our money, but we did it a lot differently. We were starting to get stuff shipped in, and me and my best friend at the time, living in that house together, we were working together, putting our money together, but we were also kind of working against each other because he got into the game later after me, but earlier in the game when I was doing it and he wasn't, so he's seen all the success that I had in the past, and he wanted to get back into it himself. So me and him started hustling at the house, doing our thing, and putting our money together and getting stuff shipped in. And then one time, I don't know what happened, but apparently the FBI or something like that came to the house and said that they had a package intercepted. And would you believe that it was all of my money and all of his money that we put in on this big package? And that was the time that everything gets seized. So we're both back at ground zero, living at this house. I still have my job at Jimmy John's, so I wasn't super terrified about not making rent, but we were definitely feeling it. And after about a week later, I was trying to figure out how my buddy made all his money back that he lost, and I'm still sitting at ground zero. Getting back into the Coca-Cola talk from last video, this is where the Coca-Cola comes in. I'll tell you one thing, guys, I like to drink, I love my Crown, I smoke here and there, and that's it. I've never done any other drugs besides that, never popped pills, nothing like that, guys, and never really found the urge to push it further past that, you know. And I'm really thankful for bikes, man, because bikes have kept me so occupied throughout these years, and there's so many times where I've been exposed to those things, and I hop on the bike and go ride people. It's as easy as that. So my best friend from high school, you know, we were both messing with the flowers, and all of a sudden I started to find out that he was starting to sell coke. I just had the worst feeling about this stuff, guys. Till this day, when I hear people talking about it and stuff like that, it's just vibes that I don't want to be around. And the difference is, if you do coke and everything like that, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to judge you. If you meet me and tell you do it, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to let your actions, personally, that I've experienced, judge the character that you are to me. But with that being said, he started getting into coke, and the house is just starting to get a little bit more sketchier as the days went on. He started watching Scarface movies, and he bought himself a little pistol, and I was just getting really, really bad vibes. And to answer your guys' question about why didn't I have a gun back when I was 17 in the previous story, it was simply because I was really methodical about everything that I had done. So I seen that they were starting to get into selling coke, they had a gun, and I was like, nah, this ain't working. And we started butting heads over it, you know. He was starting to get sloppy about things, and me being a cleaner person with my hustle, I was like, yo, man, you gotta chill out, like, you gotta, you know, get it together. And he would just butt heads with me back and forth. And then finally, you know, I'm the little guy in the house, I don't have the money, I'm not the kingpin of the house, you know, so I can't sit there and call the shots. But as a friend, I was sitting there telling him, man, you're getting in too deep, it's getting serious, bro, like, we need to calm down and get back to the basics and be humble with that. But he wasn't happy with that. You know, we got to a point where we were like pushing each other chest to chest, and he slammed the door in my face, and I literally punched a hole in the door because I was so mad. As soon as that happened, I just knew the whole house had disowned me because they were just busy doing this coke stuff and everything else, and all I wanted to do was smoke a little herb and go to work and pay my bills. So I called up my sister and her boyfriend, and I was like, I'm in a crunch, I need to find somewhere to stay. So they offered to let me stay in their apartment. So the next day after I got home from work, I packed all my stuff up and I moved out of that house within 20 minutes. And everybody was home and they all see me do it, and nobody said a single damn thing to me. I moved into my sister's house. He's like, oh, run that toll, I don't mind. So that's when the bike life started for me. I moved into my sister's house. I kept tabs on the old house. Being your old best friend, I mean, you still want to keep tabs on them and see how things go for them. And genuinely, I was really salty at the time that he had just disowned me for the dope game. But you know, I tried to stay as focused as I could with working my job and everything else. And that's where it got me into riding motorcycles, because after losing your friends that you've had for all these years and them being in a lifestyle that you don't want anything to be a part of, I was lost, people. And things work out as they should. And I went and took my re-up money and bought myself my first bike. So I bought my first bike. I was working my 9 to 5, living the most boring life ever. Didn't even have a YouTube channel yet. Just riding my Ninja 500 around like I'm the king shit around town. But I kept tabs on that old house, kind of hearing through the grapevine everything that happened. And would you guys believe, less than a month after I moved out of that house, people, somebody had tried to break into the house while everybody was home. And the guy, just like my old apartment, he started jiggling on the door handle, broad daylight, trying to jiggle on the door handle to open up the back side door. And my old roommate, my best friend from high school that started to turn into El Chapo, you know, doing the drugs and had his own little gun, he seen him jiggling on the door handle and actually took the gun and shot a bunch of shots through the front door. And luckily, none of those shots hit that guy, because if you guys know the laws, if you go ahead and shoot somebody when they're jiggling at your door outside, that's not a breaking and entering, and you're gonna go to jail for murder. It was a really sloppy move on my old roommate's part to go ahead and shoot rounds off the middle of the day. And now it became panic time to get all of his stuff out of the house before cops came, because I heard shots fired. So that's what he did. He ran everything over to the neighbor's house. Cops came over, checked out the scene. Everything was fine. My old roommate didn't get in trouble. So then he went and grabbed everything back from his neighbor's house and brought it back over to the house. And then cops were smart, because they came back over to the house and searched everything again a couple hours later, and then they found everything that my old roommate was stashing. So he ended up going to prison, I want to say, for about 3 years. And yeah, it's fucking nuts. Welcome to beautiful Fort DeSoto, people. Wow, the memories. My parents used to take me and my sister on this trail all the time. We would just ride bicycles and roller skates. Wow. Beautiful. That's like the best view of the Skyway, man. So let me finish up this story, guys. When he got arrested at the house, they ended up taking him to prison for 3 years. I moved out. I haven't seen him since. I just heard the story of him getting arrested after the home invasion and getting 3 years in prison. And I hadn't heard from that kid ever since then. But it's funny, buddies of that group hit me up here and there, and they see my videos on WorldStar and stuff like that. As much as I want to sit there and talk to them and stuff like that, those kids abandoned me back in the day, and you know, now they're looking for friendship, and I'm just I'm too busy living my life, people, so I don't need to talk to them anymore. But the funniest part about it, guys, is right for Halloween, there's this big VIP table that we rented at a club downtown St. Pete we were just at. And I was walking up to the door, and the bouncer at the door looked so familiar, and it took me a second to put it together. But that was the dude that I used to live with. That was my old roommate. My ex-best friend from high school was now the bouncer at this club that we had a VIP table for. And you could tell just the way he looked at me. He knew who I was, and I knew who he was. And I was gonna say something salty and stuff like that, but I think the difference between now and a couple years ago is that I would have went out of my way to make him feel like shit. Just growing up more as an adult, you know, I just kind of gave him the nod, and we went about our ways. This kind of goes to show you, people, life might be sucking right now or at the time when things hit the fan, but as long as you keep pushing and just don't worry about anything else that people have going on, just worry about yourself, but look out for others. And don't let people take your kindness for weakness. That's all I can say, man. The game keeps changing as time goes on, but the people that surround it are relatively the same. The guy that hit the people and got the DUI manslaughter, I know he'll be getting out of prison soon enough. And hopefully, if he has time to watch this video, he can watch it, because I definitely do want to thank him for getting me off the streets back right after I got out of high school. It's sad all around, you know. He's the one that chose to drink and drive and hit those people. But I know he regrets it every single day. From stuff that I've seen online, him writing to people, I don't keep in contact with them, but I keep tabs as far as what's going on with them. And he definitely looks like he's changed for the better. And hopefully we can reconnect someday in the future. The old bouncer friend from high school. I guess the saddest part is it sucks when money changes friendship, you know. Friends are going to come and go, people. The biggest thing that matters is that you continue to keep moving forward and pushing forward. Bad things are going to happen in life, people, but the best way to address them is just to bounce back from it and keep pushing forward. So yeah, I'm just rambling on, people. I got a Patreon if you guys want to join that for more behind the scenes content. We're giving away a bike on there. Not this one, this is my baby. But other than that, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, keep it dank. Later.
Yeah, I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep